right, let's jump right in. I want you to imagine something for a second. What if the most critical piece of technology in our lives, our entire system of government, was running on software that's like 500 years old? It sounds crazy, right? But while everything else in our world has leaped forward, our political operating system has pretty much stayed the same. This explainer is all about a pretty radical proposal for a system-wide upgrade based on the Dynamic Democracy Manifest. So the core idea here is really simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. You wouldn't use a computer from 5 centuries ago to do your work today, so why are we still using a political structure from that same era? The manifest argues that parliamentary systems they're outdated. They can't keep up with the complexity of the modern world. It's time for a completely new model, one that makes the old one totally obsolete. And here's the fundamental problem with that old system. The French economist Frédéric Bastiat totally nailed it when he said, the law itself can be twisted. So instead of protecting us, it can actually be used by people in power to, well, legalize their own plunder. They enrich themselves, they help their friends, and the public is left footing the bill. According to the manifest, our entire political world is built around this one ancient question from Plato. We pour all our energy, all our debates, into trying to pick the right people to be in charge. But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if the problem isn't finding the perfect ruler, but the system itself that gives any ruler so much authority to begin with? And this is the crucial pivot. This is the big idea proposed by the philosopher Karl Popper. He says we should stop searching for saviors and start building systems that minimize harm. Systems that let us correct our mistakes, and fast. This complete reframing is the intellectual bedrock for a new system that isn't designed for ruling, but for solving problems. So, what is this proposed upgrade? Well, it has a name, dynamic democracy. You can think of it as a system built for constant improvement, one that shifts the focus away from a permanent ruling class and puts it squarely on collective problem solving. So what is it exactly? At its core, dynamic democracy is the super flexible hybrid model. For every single issue that comes up, everything from a local park budget to a huge national policy. It gives you the power to choose exactly how you want to be involved. Okay, so how does that actually work in practice? Let's break down the 3 interconnected ways you can engage with this system. This is the basic architecture. For any law or policy that's on the table, you've got 3 choices. 1, you can vote on it yourself. 2, you can delegate your vote to someone else you trust on that specific topic. Or 3, and this is where it gets really interesting for innovators and early adopters, you can choose not to vote and actually earn political capital to make your voice louder later on. So the first mode is just simple, raw power, direct democracy. If there's an issue you're really passionate about, maybe some new environmental law, you can just do the research and cast your vote yourself. No middleman, no representatives. It's your voice, your decision, period. But what if you don't have the time to become an expert on, say, agricultural subsidies? That's where the delegative mode comes in. You can lend your vote to someone you trust on that topic. And here's the key part. It's temporary. It's fluid. You can take your vote back at any moment. You're not stuck with someone for a 4-year term if you don't like how they're voting. Now, this brings us to the most game-changing part of the whole system, specialist democracy. In this mode, choosing not to vote on something you don't really know or care about becomes a strategic move. By sitting one out, you actually earn what's called political capital. Think of it like saving up your influence so you can then spend it to give your vote extra weight on the issues that you truly care about. What this does, essentially, is create a free market for political power. It lets people specialize. It lets them focus their political energy where it's most effective, and it rewards real expertise and passion, not just showing up to vote on everything. Okay, but with any new system, especially one that deals with power, the first question everyone asks is, can it be corrupted? Can it be hacked? The manifest argues that dynamic democracy is actually designed from the ground up to be mathematically resistant to corruption. And the core security principle is this huge shift in thinking. The argument is that the real source of corruption isn't money, it's concentrated authority. It's giving a tiny group of people the power to make huge decisions. So if you decentralize that power, you basically dismantle the entire mechanism that allows corruption to even exist. And this slide just lays it out in black and white. Take a real-world example. In a representative system, like the one in Bosnia and Herzegovina, you only need to corrupt 22 people to get a majority and pass a law. 22. But in a direct system, with the same population, You'd need to corrupt over 1.5 million people. The scale of the problem just makes old-school corruption totally impractical. And this table here, it really shows the math behind that security. Just look at how the numbers scale. As you increase the number of voters, the resistance to corruption just explodes exponentially. According to the data in the manifest, moving from a small parliament to the entire electorate makes the system over 76,000 times more secure. That's not just an improvement, it's a whole new paradigm.
So what's the ultimate goal here? What's the end game? What kind of society does a system like this actually create? Well, the vision is a big one. It's a society that can function without a permanent political class, without a permanent group of rulers.
In this vision, power isn't fixed, it's fluid. It shifts from one issue to the next, depending on who's the most engaged, who's the most knowledgeable. Good ideas can get adopted really quickly on their own merit. And just as important, bad ideas can be thrown out just as fast, without having to wait 4 years for the next election. It creates a genuine meritocracy, where your expertise and your reputation become way more valuable than your political connections.
You know, this whole idea connects to a really deep piece of wisdom. This saying perfectly captures the spirit of specialist democracy. There's a certain beauty and efficiency in focusing your energy on what truly concerns you and trusting others to do the same. It's not just a political strategy, it's a principle for a much more focused and effective society.
Edward Bernays, who basically invented modern propaganda, he wrote about this invisible government that pulls the strings behind the scenes. Dynamic democracy is positioned as the perfect antidote to that. It's a transparent system designed to drag decision-making out into the light and completely dismantle that unseen mechanism of control.
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question. It's the ultimate ambition behind this entire idea. Can we actually build systems that allow a society to solve its own problems, to adapt and to thrive, without concentrating all that authority in the hands of a few people? The manifest suggests that not only can we, but that in the 21st century, we absolutely must.